Let's cross to Modena in Italy and speak to Massimo Bottura. He's a globally renowned chef. You may be following him on Instagram already. He's also a champion in the fight against waste and a Goodwill Ambassador for the UN Environment Program. Massimo, hello to you and nice to meet you.
First of all, really nice to meet you guys.
Thank you. So you started the nonprofit Food for Soul, over a decade now. Tell us a little bit about the work you do.
You know, our work starts at the Universal Exposition in Milan in 2015, where the theme was Feed the Planet, Energy for Life. And, we decided to feed the planet our own way. After I started understanding the numbers in that moment, where, there was like... we were producing food for 12 billion people. We were just 7.5, 7.8 in the world. 860 million people, they don't have anything to eat. And we were wasted 33% of the production. So my first reaction as a chef is, first of all, it's fighting food waste. So I start acting like my grandmother. But one thing that it's very important. I said, the revolution is not about me; it's about us. So I started involving all the most important influence chef in the world to come with me and to join me in Milan, where Pope Francis and Archbishop Scola gave us a beautiful space in the most neglected neighborhood in Milan at that time. There was a Quartiere Greco, because Pope Francis said, I had in mind to do it under the train station in Milan, but the Pope said, Massimo, the idea is amazing, but you have to bring the light in the most neglected neighborhood in Milan, where the darkness is. So if you bring light in darkness, you're gonna build a new world. So we went there. We created a beautiful space with the help of architect, designer, and artists. And we start sharing beauty with the really people in need. And since then, we now have 13 restaurants in the world, but also 13 soup kitchen that we call refettori, because I was inspired by the refettorio Leonardo da Vinci did in Milan many years ago, centuries ago. But I didn't invent anything, no? I was just following what my grandmother was saying since I was a kid.
Right, and I want to ask you about that. I'm glad you're getting credit to her. And I've seen that from my parents, from my grandparents, the way previous generations are very careful about using everything that's on a plate. Yeah. But for better or worse, I think this past century of economic development has seen people be driven by more consumption, not less. So do you think younger generations appreciate this call for being careful about waste?
Absolutely. Younger generation are much more aware. You said numbers, before, and the numbers are going down. From 1/3 now is 1/5, and we helped to write the law for France, for Italy, and we had a very big chat with Angela Merkel too, against writing a law against food waste, but also when at that time President Obama and Michelle Obama, they were super into our project. And, imagine that in Rio de Janeiro, the second year after the Universal Exposition, when the Olympics were there, 2016, now there are so many food banks, since then. At that time, there was nothing. And now it's very difficult to find food surplus because, all these food banks, they're recruiting and they're getting all the food and everything changed, So this is a very silent revolution, but extremely important. And, in our restaurant in Modena, Osteria Francescana, Casa Maria Luisa, Cavallino, they are all certified zero waste, because zero waste in a restaurant is not a limitation. It's a creative of opportunities. It forces clarity, discipline, vision, and when it's done well, it becomes it's very invisible for the guest, but transformative for the team. And, we have since ever an exercise for all the apprentices in our restaurants that is called "Who Are You?" And what is that? You open the pantry and you cook with everything you have, and express yourself and transform what is left into amazing meal for the staff meal. So with that exercise, we reduce the food waste at zero, less than 5%. So this is a philosophy. It's a way to express la cucina povera, no? Italy is like this. It's like we don't waste anything. I remember when I was a kid and we were going out in the country and with all the farmers, they were killing a pig. My grandmother was whispering in my ears all the time, "You don't have to waste anything. You have to be respectful for the animal that is giving his life to feed the whole family." So, when you grow up like that, it's very, very easy for me to communicate and transfer all this knowledge to all my apprentices. So at the end, what I feel is like in a zero waste kitchen, there's no limit, and there's just a lot of opportunities.
Massimo, thank you so much. There's the principle in journalism, less is more. Massimo Bottura joining us from Modena, Italy. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, well, that's it from